Feminism is toxic. It is unnatural. It distorts dharma. It undermines traditional roles and, in the name of justice and empowerment, poisons the whole of society by turning women against men and then men against women. Feminism started off with some maybe reasonable sounding demands, but it became so nasty that even many women do not want anything to do with it. Feminists might think of opponents like me as their enemy, but actually feminism is the worst enemy of women because it perverts their natural femininity. It denies their natural motherly feelings. It encourages them to be lesbians. And it makes them into horrible people, always complaining, always angry, overall repulsive. Previously, for generations, women were content as wives and mothers, but feminism makes them perpetually discontent. Feminism is clearly a product of Kali Yuga, but it has deeply influenced Vaishnava society today. No doubt, those who promote the normalization of female Diksha gurus, female GBCs, female temple presidents, and so on, are doing what they think is proper and best according to their understanding of what Srila Prabhupada wanted, and they claim that opponents like myself are opposing Srila Prabhupada's wishes. However, opponents like myself have considerable grounds and considerable evidence to maintain that this is not what Srila Prabhupada intended, and it is not in the best interests of the great movement that Srila Prabhupada set in motion in the Western world. Now, obviously, feminism in ISKCON is not exactly the same as the manifestations of feminism in broader non-Vaishnava society. ISKCON's feminism takes the spiritual principle that we are not the body, but it takes it without the traditional understanding of how this spiritual principle is to be applied in practical life among conditioned souls and less than perfect transcendentalists. So we have Vaishnava feminism, sounds like an oxymoron, with the same basic credo as secular feminism, which is what Srila Prabhupada called artificial equality between women and men. On principle, Srila Prabhupada was against women in leadership roles. How can you deny it? It's clearly there in his books. Practically also, he didn't make any women GBCs. His policy was not to make women temple presidents, definitely no women sannyasis. And when he named 11 devotees to take up initiating roles, they were all men. So having women in leadership in Vaishnava society is clearly influenced by mundane ideas of equality, artificial equality. For years, the leadership within ISKCON has been promoting a feminist narrative, but still, many devotees know that it doesn't fit with what they read in Srila Prabhupada's books. And it makes no basic sense because clearly men and women are best suited for different roles. The feminists claim that Srila Prabhupada gave equal service opportunities to both men and women. It's a lie. But it's so deeply bammed into ISKCON's way of thinking today that overturning it seems almost impossible, even for saying such things, for quoting Srila Prabhupada's statements on these subjects. You become a persona non grata. A godbrother of mine, a senior leader of ISKCON in India, was banned from giving talks at ISKCON centers in North America because of his opposition to the GBC's female Diksha Guru push and his penchant for quoting Shastra and Srila Prabhupada on issues related to gender roles. There was no investigation, no right of appeal. He was just banned. Even as I say this, I can expect some backlash. What are you going to do if you know that this feminism is wrong, it's unnatural, it's not what Srila Prabhupada taught or instituted? What can you do? The first thing you can do, and you should do anyway, is to study Srila Prabhupada's teachings deeply and systematically. As you go through Srila Prabhupada's writings, you'll find that he taught that men and women are spiritually equal, but in the Varnashram dharma system which Srila Prabhupada wanted to be instituted, women and men have different duties based on their different natures. Different nature is swabhava, and different duty is swadharma. So it didn't change in the modern world. It didn't change since 1977 that women's swabhava, their basic nature, is different to that of men. It's not antiquated. It's not oppressive to say this. Now, we want devotees to not be fanatical, to understand all these points very clearly. There are various statements in Srila Prabhupada's books, nuanced statements on all different kinds of topics. To understand this topic very deeply, please read my book, Women, Mothers and Masters, which was banned by the GBC before any of them had ever read it. You get the idea of what we're up against. Anyway, if you study the issue based on Shastra, based on Srila Prabhupada's teachings, and based on just look around you and see, you can understand that this idea of artificial equality, it's unnatural. It's based on lies. It's anti-dharma. It's not just an opinion to say this. Feminism is based on the false premise that men and women are interchangeable, that traditional roles are oppressive, and that hierarchy means exploitation. Feminism leads to quarrel, family breakdown, and disobedience and offense to Guru and Shastra. It's not much quoted nowadays in ISKCON, but Srila Prabhupada used to quote it. You can also quote it. Nastriyam swatantratam arhati. Women should never be given independence. We don't say this to demean women, but to uphold dharma as it is. If you don't believe me, read Srila Prabhupada's purport to Bhagavad-gita, chapter 16, text 7. A book for mass distribution, the basic book that all entrants into Krishna consciousness should study to get the basic understanding of what Krishna consciousness is all about. In that chapter, discussing the nature of the demons, Srila Prabhupada writes, now, in the Manu Samhita, it is clearly stated that a woman should not be given freedom. That does not mean that women are to be kept as slaves, but they are like children. Children are not given freedom, but that does not mean that they are kept as slaves. The demons have now neglected such injunctions, and they think that women should be given as much freedom as men. However, this has not improved the social condition of the world. Actually, a woman should be given protection at every stage of life. She should be given protection by the father in her younger days, by the husband in her youth, and by the grown-up sons in her old age. This is proper social behavior according to the Manu Samhita. But modern education has artificially devised a puffed-up concept of womanly life, and therefore marriage is practically now an imagination in human society. The social condition of women is thus not very good now, although those who are married are in a better condition than those who are proclaiming their so-called freedom. The demons, therefore, do not accept any instruction which is good for society, and because they do not follow the experience of great sages and the rules and regulations laid down by the sages, the social condition of the demoniac people is very miserable. I'd like to ask ISKCON's great champions of feminism what they think Srila Prabhupada means when he refers to a puffed-up concept of womanly life. What does Srila Prabhupada mean? Like, modern education has artificially devised a puffed-up concept of womanly life. What does that mean? Now, it is a fact that Srila Prabhupada made extraordinary adjustments for introducing Krishna consciousness in the Western world, but he also certified the so-called civilization and the outlook of the Western world or modern civilization to be insane and soul-killing. And he wanted to benefit the world by reintroducing Varnashrama dharma. Certainly for the West in particular, we have to be aware of adjustments that Srila Prabhupada made and maybe continue them to some extent, but after all these years, we should be moving toward implementing Srila Prabhupada's desire for Varnashrama dharma. Srila Prabhupada made some exceptions for the sake of introducing Krishna consciousness, saving people in a very animalistic kind of society, not to redefine dharma. So we should know the difference between what are standards that we should be introducing and exceptional mercy. We should see why Srila Prabhupada adjusted, what he adjusted. From the Vedic perspective, he came to a totally adharmic society. The whole situation was one of dharma sankat, where what is to be done, it's very difficult to say, because whatever you do, you are going to be in a situation where it's very difficult to practice dharma properly. Sometimes it's necessary to make adjustments. When the situation is so bad, you have to make some adjustments to time, place, and circumstance. And Srila Prabhupada, out of his great compassion, allowed divorce, brahmacharini ashram, and so many things that were needed just to get Krishna consciousness going in the beginning. But he did want to introduce civilized standards of human life. That means Varnashram dharma. So we should understand all these points. And that will protect us from... Prabhupada wanted equality, revisionism. Exceptions in exceptional circumstances should not be institutionalized as new norms. Feminists teach that actual femininity is weakness. But Kunti, Sita, Draupadi, Shachimata, they were all strong women. We can encourage devotee women to aspire to be like them, not to imitate men or to chase the feministic dream of the woman who conquers all, or how Sita is killing Ravana and Ram is hiding away somewhere. Honoring a woman's feminine nature, her feminine dharma, that's not oppression. That is sacred. So when we hear Prabhupada empowered women, well, that's true, he empowered men also, but he did oppose artificial equality, and we should know what that means. So if we hear someone saying equality is Vedic, we should know it's just nonsense. Women can do everything men can. That's a modern ideological import. It's not shastric and it's not realistic. It's not hopeless. The present generation of leadership has led us down this feministic sidetrack. But there's a whole new generation coming up. We can train them in Varnashram realities, what is required in a civilized society. There are online blogs, you can make study groups, exploring what are gender roles in civilized society, Varnashram society, family duties of men and women according to Shastra and tradition. And leave out all the pop psychology and modern sociology, and encourage young men also to lead and protect and train. Let men take their roles. And encourage women to honor service with chastity as their strength, not something to be thrown away. Chastity is a point of honor, not shame. Marriage, healthy families, according to traditional Vedic norms. We need a strong grihastha dharma as the foundation of a healthy Vaishnava society. You'll be labeled a misogynist, regressive, patriarchal, and other terms imported from secular demoniac feminism. Just don't worry about it too much. Oh, we have a new term also, neo-smartas. Don't be provoked. Remain steady. As far as possible, be calm. You can expect to be pilloried and harassed. Remain dignified. We have the backing of Shastra, tradition, the Acharyas, Srila Prabhupada. As far as possible, don't attack persons, but attack false ideas. Avoid bitterness. Understand what is the right thing. Practice it as well as you can within your jurisdiction. Pass it on to others. You'll find institutional channels are closed. You won't be allowed to give seminars or talks on this in ISKCON temples. If you try speaking on this, you'll be banned, even if you're just quoting Srila Prabhupada. But everything is not within the institutional framework of ISKCON. You can have private study groups. You can teach the youth. You can make videos like this. We have to try to protect sincere souls from ideological confusion, even if it means going against the popular trend. And there are still some GBC members, leaders, senior devotees, who are loyal to Srila Prabhupada's original vision, who can understand what it is. It's not easy to oppose feminism in Vaishnava society. It will be seen as rebellious, but it's a service. It's a difficult service, but it's required. for trying to protect Srila Prabhupada's contributions from modern ideological corruption should be done by citing Shastra with a lot of patience, because you're up against people that don't want to listen, that will ignore you or twist what you say, sidetrack the discussion. So you have to continue with faith in Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, with humility, loyalty to Srila Prabhupada and Sadhu, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Unfortunately, there's never been any attempt by the powers that be to have honest and frank discussion of these issues. This is the reality that I and others have been up against for over 25 years. Anti-feminism is like an underground, suppressed subcurrent. However, it can't remain underground forever unless ISKCON wants to remain cut off from what Srila Prabhupada wanted forever. You can't have Varnashram and feminism. And Srila Prabhupada wanted Varnashram. What do we want to choose? Don't get too much into the us versus them mentality. We want to honestly do what is best, not that we're deliberately looking for fights or trying to prove ourselves better than others. So stay spiritually grounded, strong in our principles and practices, and understand that this battle, it's not something political or social. Well, it is, but really at the basis, it's a spiritual struggle for the very heart of the most important manifestation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy in the world today.